Hello, everyone. My name is Denis King, and I'm the CEO of Solace. I'm here at the EDA Summit, and I'm excited to be joined by Chris McNabb, who is the CEO of Boomi. Welcome, Chris. How are things going?
Dennis, things are going as well as can be expected given the pandemic and everything else that's going on. So far, so good.
Great. So why don't we, before we get into event-driven architecture, that's the big topic of the day. Let's just get in a bit of background on yourself. So why don't you give us a bit of history of how you got the role at Dell today? And I know you've been there for quite some time. So give us a bit of background of you and how you got here.
Well, it started out my career on product guy. Held all kinds of different roles, and I guess it was about 10 years ago, got an opportunity to join the Boomi business a little shortly after Dell had acquired the business. And I'm fortunate enough to be in my 9th year running the business. Wow. So it's been a great ride so far.
A couple of CEO awards along the way, I understand as well.
Yeah, a couple of them. I always look at those as team awards. There's no room for individual honors. I think the way that the Boomi people think about it, it's Boomi wins or Boomi loses. So I consider those team awards.
Awesome, yeah. So staying on the same theme, getting to know you a bit more, Chris. I've been doing this with all of the Fireside chats. A bit of a lightning round on some of your hot topics. So things that you like. So favorite book. What would you say your favorite book is?
Well, one of the favorite books nowadays is a book called Abundance. Abundance is, if you haven't read it, it's a great book put out by the folks in the World Economic Forum about why we should be very optimistic about what's going on in the world. And when you think about all the long wars that we've had, the pandemic that we've had, the social unrest that we've had, and they prove a point where it's never been a better time to be alive in the history of the world. That's the kind of book everybody needs to be reading right now.
Very aware. No, it's a great story. Awesome. What about your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I've always been a Godfather fan, believe it or not, from way back when.
Unbelievably common answer, I have to say. Unbelievably common answer. Awesome movie. What about your favorite band?
Favorite band? That's a tough one for me. I'm an older guy, so it'll probably show my age, but I come from the Zeppelin, Stones, Who era.
Awesome. And your favorite food?
Favorite food? That's probably a tough one, but I would have to say Chilean sea bass is my favorite food.
Fish, awesome. And then the last one, your favorite hobby or favorite sport?
Well, that evolves over time. Right now it's golf. I play a lot of golf, and I'm trying to keep my kids and now son-in-laws involved in the game as well. So that's what we do most of our time.
Seems to be a busy one during these COVID times. Golf seems to be the one that's capturing everybody's attention. So that's great stuff. So Chris, we're here to talk about event-driven architecture, but before we dive right into those details, we have a fairly large audience here that might not be very familiar with the integration space or the iPaaS space. Maybe you can give us a little background about where Boomi fits in this market and the value you provide.
Yeah, so the integration platform as a service space is a somewhat new space when it comes to integration. The integration is obviously decades old. The integration platform as a service space just started being covered for the first time. The first Magic Quadrant was produced in 2014. So the integration platform as a service space is a broad integration space. So platforms, cloud platforms specifically, that cover off on data integration, real-time app-to-app integration. They cover off on API and API management integration. EDA is certainly a space that they work on, as well as ETL. So they cover the whole data space. Our platform, as a matter of fact, even extends into process integration, which is low code, mobile app creation, and human workflows. So the broadest possible definition of the word integration, that's what the integration platform as a service providers are looking to provide. And then Boomi specifically, we've been a 7-time leader in the Magic Quadrant. We've been a dominant person in this space from the very, very start of it. And we look to continue that for, call it the next decade.
Yeah, no, congratulations on the old Gartner and up and to the right. You guys have certainly been leading the charge in this space. So great job. And how is it? You've been at this for quite some time. How is this space evolving? And is it mature and how is it evolving going forward?
Yeah, Dennis, listen, it's a very mature space and it's evolving very rapidly. It is definitely the case now that the largest businesses in the world, we have probably a full third of the Fortune 50 are now, integration platform as a service users through Boomi subscriptions. And so it's very mature, it's very robust. And the things that the integration platform as a service provides, not only do you have a single platform for which you can do all those different kinds of integrations, but you have an ability now to do them very, very rapidly. There was a report done by Forrester around the total economic impact of people who bought Boomi. And they found that they completed like-for-like projects 70% faster on our platform than legacy technologies. They were executed at 50% the cost, and the businesses saw an up to 300% ROI. So speed is something, and productivity is something that comes along with it. And I think that's really important in today's day and age. IT folks are so overwhelmed with the amount of demand that comes in from their business. I'd like to do this, this, and this. And it's our platforms like ours that help transition them from departments of no to departments of yes. Have from IT being a hero who's preventing the business from moving on, or an obstacle to prevent it from moving on, and make them a hero as they go forward. And that's a lot what integration platform as a service does for folks.
Cool. So where do you see then, when we come across, like, obviously we're big into the EDA space, event-driven architecture space, and when we deploy in a lot of our customers, we often see integration around us, and we also see APIs around us. It's a very common theme to see these things participating with one another. How do you see, integration or the iPaaS market evolving with event-driven architecture? Where do you see these things coming together in your mind?
Well, I think it's really important to understand when we talk about, integration strategy or enterprise integration strategies with our customers and prospects, it really you have to talk about app to app and data integration, EDA, API and API management, EDI, how you do your partner and supply chain. And all of those have to be a part of your strategy. You can't have just one part of that and think it's everything. So EDA plays a critical role in that strategy. And what EDA provides people is an access to much more real-time, sort of asynchronous interaction. Things that happen by themselves. When events go off, I want something to occur in its simplest form. And that's what EDA brings to your integration strategy. And it's a critical piece to have a holistic enterprise integration strategy, no doubt.
Awesome. And I think you guys hit a big threshold this week, or was it last week? 15,000. Was it 15,000 customers, I believe I saw somewhere along the way there. And, you guys are dealing with lots of different use cases, lots of different customers. Can you talk about some of the use cases where you're seeing, event-driven architecture participating with integration or in general?
Yeah, Dennis, there's a couple very interesting use cases that we've done. One that's worth sharing, I thought was kind of cool, was that, people were trying to help address one of the number one sort of health concerns in nursing homes. And it was really around people getting bed sores, the cubes, in what they did. And what they found out is the rationale for doing it, oversimplifying it a bit, is that a lack of movement, moisture, and a few other factors were really key contributors to people getting bed sores sooner than not. So smart mattresses introduced. It's an IoT device, and it streams. Wow. The mattress streams events, and says, hey, the temperature, the heart rate, the moisture level, respiration level, everything else, movement is all streaming out of the mattress, and it gets caught by an EDA platform, much like yours, gets caught by there, and we sort of interact with that and filter it and say, listen, Dennis is fine, Dennis is fine. And then all of a sudden 2 hours go by and Dennis hasn't moved. It's platforms like ours that can now take that information once it hits a threshold and says, hey, I put a card up on a dashboard that's run by ServiceNow at a nursing station and say, hey, Dennis hasn't moved in 2 hours. When we find if he goes much longer than 2 hours, then these kinds of problems set in, go in and give Dennis a nudge. So the simplest way to understand it, but a really effective use case of how EDA and integration come together to dramatically reduce the amount of bed sores in nursing homes is really significant.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a very timely one for sure. And if you think about EDA and you combine it with the Boomi vision strategy going forward, and you look at how the market's maturing, Chris, how do you see Boomi evolving in this direction?
Well, I think we're very much at the tip of the iceberg, Dennis. I think EDA is going to become more and more critical as CIOs evolve their IT landscape. Understanding events, listening for events, and then understanding what to do in order to continue executing the process that's there, or to take the action that you want to have happen after an event occurs, are all going to be key ways in which our organizations and customers become more real-time in nature. And it's really sort of how the world works today. Somebody will just, an employee will go in and change a SaaS application and change a data field that's relevant to many, many other systems. That's an event that happens. You want to wake up, you want to understand what that change is. Is it a part of a bigger process? Is it something I just want to synchronize across all kinds of other applications? And you need to do that at scale. And I think that's where sort of our partnership comes in. It really allows us to listen at scale, understand what's going on, and then we can be a part of the action-oriented architecture to say, hey, go notify this phone, do this action, follow this process, things like that. So it's a key part, and it's going to just continue to expand.
Awesome. I wanted to just to echo what you said and thank Dell and thank you for your support, Chris, on the partnership. I look at the market and I see, the need for more information faster, the need for broader connectivity, and of course, integrations at the center of all this, and the need for movement of data and real-time information is also at the center of this. And I think this partnership is very special, and I wanted to thank you for the support on that. So thanks so much. And just one last question before we go here, Chris. Going back to you mentioned the book Abundance at the beginning, and pulling the silver lining and the positivity out of things. And with all the climate and the COVID and the geopolitical climate, there's just a lot of negativity in the world right now. So yeah, what will be your greatest hope for 2021, or one point of optimism that you could speak to it for 2021?
Wow, my hopes for 2021. Well, here's how I would state that. I think I'm gonna probably have a 2 or 3 parter, but first and foremost, I really hope for the health and safety of all the folks in the world, and that somehow we can put all of the effects of this pandemic completely behind us, would be thing one. I think that, I also hope that we can get to a point rapidly where people are treated equally, fairly, justly, and just leave behind all of the hatred that's born out of just differences. We can't hate people for being different nationalities and different genders and different races and skin colors and from different countries. It's the 21st century. We've just got to find our way past that. Let's leave all that in 2020. As we look through it, I think those are the 2 biggest ones. And then I have a hope for the people that have suffered sort of loss throughout this pandemic. There's a lot of tragedy associated with it, and I hope that I could grant them or wish them sort of the strength and courage to kind of continue to move forward and look at the bright side. Abundance is a great book. It's going to get you to be optimistic. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Let's stick together. We'll get through it. And I hope to see an end to this thing soon. How about that?
Good and awesome words from an awesome leader. Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy during this time of year, and I'm sure the audience will be super pumped to hear from you here at the EDA Summit. But thanks so much again, Chris. I look forward to working more with you guys as we look into this year. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Dennis, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure. I love our partnership. Let's throw some gas on it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the EDA Summit Fireside Chat. Sans fire, but with lots of chat. My name is Mychelle Mollot. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Solace, And today I'm joined by Mandy Dhaliwal. And Mandy is the Chief Marketing Officer at Boomi. Mandy, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this amazing partnership that our companies have had over the last several years.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great partnership and it's just beginning. Look, we've got a lot to cover, but I thought we should start first with a bit about you, your background, how you got into the role that you're in now, and a little bit about your career trajectory, what took you to where you are now.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, I guess I can't really say that when I was a little girl, I thought I'd be a B2B tech marketer, because I don't think there were any role models way back then. But for me, I think my journey and kind of fascination with marketing started during my college years, and really just loved the discipline. And was fortunate to get into some internships, which opened my eyes to the world that is tech. I was born and raised in Canada, from the West Coast, and ended up coming to Silicon Valley to start my career, and landed in B2B tech. And it's been quite the journey. Again, curiosity has driven kind of the trajectory. Grown up through the ranks, if you will, and really am passionate about the business of technology and the marketing side of it.
It's an amazing journey, and we take all these different diversions in our careers, and I think you're right. There's nobody gets out of bed and says when they're a little kid, I want to be a B2B tech marketing CMO. It is always this different story of coming from different angles. So thank you for sharing that with us. Look, there are probably not many, but there are probably a few people out there who don't know who Boomi is. So can you give us the elevator pitch?
Oh, absolutely. We are an integration platform as a service. We invented cloud-based integration. Over the years, we've acquired other technologies, and really the value prop for us is unlocking the data silos that live within an organization. So we speak about ourselves in a manner whereby we deliver integrated experiences to our end users. And so what that means is we create a fabric of connectivity. At the heart of our technology is the integration, connecting disparate systems and data together. We also have technology that helps illuminate data within an organization, so you can understand where it is, where it resides, irrespective of whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. And then we have a user engagement layer whereby we connect everything and create workflows and create an app-based experience. So that is what we determine as being an integrated experience. So think of Instacart, for example. We're all living in this COVID world, and we're ordering groceries or food or what have you from our homes. So an integrated experience is one whereby I wake up in the morning and realize that I don't want to go to the grocery store. I'm busy. I'm able to take my shopping list that might be already saved within this app and be able to process an order. It gets disseminated to somebody that starts shopping. There may be things that are not in stock. There may be additional things that I'd like to add. So there's a real-time communication with the person that's shopping. There's a transaction, there's payment, there's delivery to my home address. So there's coordination of GPS, et cetera, et cetera. So all these systems and interplays that are required to get Mandy her groceries is an integrated experience. That's how we define it.
I love that. That just says everything, integrated experience, no matter what, you're shopping, in your business. Love it. Thank you. Okay, before we dive into any more business questions, I have a lightning round of some personal questions so people can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Okay, first, favorite book?
I'm really digging Ray Dalio's book, Principles of Leadership, right now, Principles of Success. His learning is incredible, and the way he's able to synthesize that down for us mere mortals is pretty awesome.
Great. Any top level thoughts you want to share with people about the book?
There's so many. I kind of thumb through it, and it'll be like there's usually something poignant, right? Just in terms of knowing yourself and that self-awareness piece that's really critical in business that we sometimes overlook because we're focused on the business aspects of what we do, and really understanding that we bring our personalities and our whole selves to work. And so that's really important, just in terms of understanding mindsets and understanding other people's perspectives. So that's been a big one for me lately.
Look, I think in today's world, everything's so difficult for so many people that there's probably no greater learning we can have than what you're describing. Okay, favorite movie.
So we have a 13-year-old teenage boy. So my movie watching is very influenced. So any superhero movie is generally, up for grabs on that list. But lately we watched Soul, which just recently won an Oscar. That one stayed with me, and the animation, Disney just does such an amazing job. And I think irrespective of what stage of life you're in, there's a lot there to unpack. So really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a beautiful movie from top to bottom. Favorite band.
I'm a child of the 80s, right? So, Prince or anything of that genre, maybe even eking back into some of the 70s, the Eagles, that kind of stuff is what I really enjoy.
Nice. Favorite food.
Anything that pairs well with wine.
Best answer ever. Favorite hobby or sport?
I'm a trained sommelier. That's one of my things. So I studied wine, and I'm fortunate to have that designation. So, I take it seriously at a restaurant. I typically get handed the wine list, and I'll choose wine way before I'll choose food.
Okay, so now we absolutely must get together in person sometime soon, and you can educate me on. Okay, so you've already told us about the integrated experience, but what kind of use cases in the integrated experience world are you seeing that are event-driven, or that where EDA could be enhancing the experience, the integrated experience?
Yeah, I think EDA is really right place, right time in the market today, right? You think about consumer expectations, customer experience, right? And you think of everything that's involved in that, from, again, right? I'll use the example of me trying to order something on my phone, right? Having real-time inventory line of sight is critically important, whether that's, I'm purchasing a high ticket item, a car, online. I need to be able to know there's inventory in the dealership down the road. What happens if it's already been sold? Making sure systems are updated and giving me real-time information. Whether that's my favorite brand of milk that I'd like to have from the grocery store. It's critically important these days. It's table stakes in the world that we live in, it's event-driven architecture powers those experiences.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks. Now, what about the customers that you're working with, where they've got the integration at all the endpoints, they've got event-driven architecture in the middle? What kind of successes are you seeing in your customer base? Can you talk about a few of the customers?
Sure. We just dropped a press release here this past week around a customer that we have in France. The Mousquetaire, and they have an IT division that's called Steam. And so this is a conglomerate retail organizations. There's home improvement, there's food, there's clothing, and all of a sudden they're in a position where they have to digitally transform. And they've got thousands of point of sale systems. They've got massive supply chains. They've got SAP as their ERP system. They've got CRM systems, and they've got to have a coordinated effort amongst all these lines of business that they run, as well as having inventory management in place. So they have a real-time view of their business and are also able to deliver that customer experience that we spoke about. So they're going in to modernize. They've got silos of information, and they come to Boomi for a solution to help them go drive connectivity and modernize their infrastructure so they can really get to the heart of the data, which is the fuel for their business, not unlike many other businesses in the market today. And so at the core of it, Boomi and Solace, we team to go deliver this amazing low-code solution that is operating in an on-prem and a cloud world, because these systems coexist all over the place. And how do we start to help them make sense of their data, move it, and be able to monetize the connections that they've got in their data in a real-time way to be able to go deliver that seamless connectivity and user experience to their end users. So they've been in the process of, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, modernizing their systems and flows. And they have a 12-month program where they're going to get to hundreds of workflows that need to be modernized. And I think 6 months in, they're almost halfway done. So that's pretty tremendous in terms of time to value and agility for digital transformation in an era where digital transformation often is very much a pipe dream still. It's not reality. But I'm proud to say that our companies have partnered to make it a reality for this tremendous customer of ours.
Yeah, Les Mousquetières, they're very visionary, and their customers are really going to benefit from that partnership. Thanks, great example. Okay, to leave our conversation on a human note, what are your great hopes for 2021?
Wow, there's so much happening in the world, right? You think of, here in the US in particular, the social unrest, the pandemic, there's many crises that we're dealing with. Climate. I think the one that's hitting home, really truly is, again, being of Canadian origin and not being able to cross the border and see my immediate family, right? This pandemic is really hurting many of us, and it's cost, us so many lives in the world. So, it's heartbreaking, and whatever we can do, whatever, can be done to help solve this and get us back to some state of normalcy again and health would be my number one at this moment in time.
Yeah, really, without health, without that normalcy in our lives, just it seems like we're on pause. So I'm with you, and my heart goes out to people in India right now just battling for their lives. It's awful. So thank you very much, Mandy. It was great chatting with you. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your partnership.
Thank you, Michelle. Always a pleasure. I think we could have gone on for another 15, 20 minutes easily.
I think we could have too.
Yeah. Great job on the summit. It's been great. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.